Hello, everybody. We're back again with another Beatles album. Sam St. John and I taking these on one at a time. Today it's Rubber Soul, their sixth album, released on December 3rd, 1965. Great album cover. Actually, they released that the same day as a double-sided single, Day Tripper and We Can Work It Out. They came out the same exact day. That's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Another one of these transitional albums like Help, where they were in between the mop top and the psychedelia. They were right in that sweet spot, let's say, a little folk, little psych, little progressive elements within the structure of the music. A lot of marijuana, a little LSD inspired lyrics. It's important in music history because it swung the focus away from the single so much as putting out a complete album. And this led the way. Everybody else was following after that. You know, all the groups in the mid 60s, from the Beach Boys to the Byrds to you name it, Simon and Garfunkel, they were all putting out albums. And then the heavier bands later. But to me, this is my favorite Beatles album because I like the way it flows all the way through. There's no dead spots. And it's the peak of that first wave of Beatles before, you know, they got into the more experimental stuff with Revolver and Sgt. Pepper and so on and so forth. So great stuff. They reached new heights and they branched out. They would branch out further, of course, like any great band will, but Indian music would come and all that stuff. So great album. Sam, what do you think of this one? And what are your opening statements for Rubber Soul?
Yeah, like you said, for one, it's probably in their maybe top three best album covers. I love that picture of them.
Yeah.
Like the fisheye lens kind of.
Yeah.
It's actually, for me, it's never been one of my favorites. Like if I had to pick my top five, this might not make the top five, but it's definitely a transitional album. For me, it's important because it inspired Brian Wilson to make my favorite album, which is Pet Sounds.
Exactly.
Of course, he listened to the American version, even though, you know, he said that it was the UK version. It was the American version, almost without a doubt. But yeah, if you had to say, if the Beatles made a folk album, this is about as close as they got to it. So I can understand why it's one of your favorites. Your favorite Beatles album, because it's the most like an album by Bob Dylan or the band.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they were head over heels in love with the Bob Dylan's music at this point. Even going as far as to like almost copy him on a couple of these. This kind of spawned with the Byrds around that same area, the folk rock scene. I don't think the Beatles really get enough credit. I mean, the Beatles get credit for everything, let's be honest, but I mean, the Byrds are always talked about as, you know, creating folk rock, but the Beatles had their hand in it too. I mean, it's without question. And this album is kind of a statement to that. And if I remember correctly, it doesn't have any number one hits, at least not in the US anyway. It all went to the single. Both of those were number one hits, Day Tripper and We Can Work It Out. So
Classics. Yep.
So it's interesting. And it's interesting. This is John Lennon's magnum opus in the Beatles catalog. I mean, John really took the front seat here. He was full on the leader right at this point. I mean, they had done their two films with Hard Day's Night and Help. They were focused on music right here, and they were going on tour as well, but they were really focused on music. And again, John this is his pride and joy. So
couldn't agree more. All right, so as usual, we're going to do our it's at 14 songs. I forgot to mention that, the usual 14. We're going to go in reverse order. Sam will go first, I'll follow it up, and we'll get down to our number one. So start it off for us, Sam, at number 14.
Yeah, number 14. And I guess we should also say there were no covers on this. So this is at this point, the only other album besides Hard Day's Night that didn't have a cover on it.
Right.
Which I think at this point, that's the standard up until they break up.
Right.
But number 14 for me, even though I said it's John's magnum opus, to me, he also holds the least popular song on this album, which is Wait. It's toward the end of the album. Just never stuck with me. You know, it starts, it's been a long time, but now I'm coming back home. Great drumming by Ringo on it. Great High Harmony by Paul, till I come back to your side,
Yeah.
never get the tears we cry. Definitely sounds like the 60s to me, this song. But never one that I want to just turn on and hear that one. So it's 14.
Well, that's one I like a lot. So
Yeah,
here we go. My number
here we go.
my number 14 is The Word, another John song. The Word is Love. I like the message, but not so much the song itself. This is my least favorite song on the album, for sure. And I don't know. I think they were sitting around smoking a lot of pot and trying to write a song about love while they're high. And this is what came out. It's the word love. It's just it doesn't equal the rest of the material on the album, in my opinion. So that's why it's at the bottom.
Yeah, for me, number 13 is the last track, "Run for Your Life." Just pretty harsh lyrics to the song where John says, "I'd rather see you dead, little girl, than to be with another man." He doesn't want to see her sad. He doesn't want to see her,
brokenhearted. He wants to see her dead.
brokenhearted or in a little bit of pain, but he wants her dead than to be with another man. It's kind of funny, the vocalization. They say that's the end, a little girl. So kind of a neat vocalization there. That's, for me, that's probably the most of the hook. It's kind of a good chorus, run for your life if you can, little girl. Good harmony, but it's never one. Whenever I see it on the track listing, I'm like, oh yeah, there's that song too. So it's number 13.
Well, we finally hooked up. We've been doing we did Help, and we didn't match up at all, but we do on this one. Number 13 is Run for Your Life.
Very good.
Matched up with, and for the reasons you gave, the aggressive lyrics for a Beatles song in 1965. I mean, today with the Me Too movement, this song wouldn't fly at all.
Well, even then, it goes against the peace and love of the day.
It does. And particularly the line that you mentioned, I have written down, "I'd rather see you dead, little girl, than to be with another man." I mean, I still like the harmonies and I like the flow of the song, but it's that one line that really rankles some people.
It's the first line, so that's all you're thinking about. Yeah.
So it comes in at 13. I do like it better than The Word, so just keep that.
Which is the antithesis of the song. But yeah, I'm glad we agreed after 15 tracks so far between Help and this one. So my number 12 is the song Girl. Again, another John song. John has the majority of the tracks on this album anyway, so you're going to have John songs all over. From what I understand, later on, he talks about after he had met Yoko, that she was the girl from Girl. Like, she was the one that he, like, a girl like her was who he was thinking of when writing Girl. He was starting to get a strain on his relationship with Cynthia Lennon during this album, and there were rumors of an affair, as you can see in some of the other song lyrics later on this album. But I think the thing that I don't like is when they say girl, then they all go. It's kind of like
that. I like that.
To me, that kind of takes away from it. And then kind of the do, and then they go ooh, ooh. I don't know. It's never stuck with me. So it's 12.
Okay, it's up higher on my list. My number 12 is the token Ringo country song here, "What Goes On." I mean, I like Ringo, like I said in previous videos. It's always upbeat, kind of that twangly country guitar going on, a definite toe tapper. What goes on in your life? I enjoy it, but number 12 can't get any higher for me.
Yeah. For me, number 11 is the song "Think for Yourself," George song. One that, again, I never think about it. Just think for yourself, because I won't be there for you. Again, George is still coming into his own as a songwriter. You have to remember also he's only 22 right here. I mean, this is the Beatles' 6th album, and George is, he's the youngster of the group still, but it's just not one that I think of. It's one of those that I honestly forget about. But I like it better than the other 3 that I mentioned, but it's still low, and I don't have a whole lot more to add to it.
You're going to be surprised where it lands on my list. Anyway, number 11. This is probably one that's way up on your list and down on mine, but that's cool. My number 11 is a Paul song, You Won't See Me. Good pop song. It's got that sunny sounding, vibe, despite the breakup lyrics, time after time, you refuse to even listen. I wouldn't mind if I knew what I was missing, and I love the harmonies, the ooh la la, all that stuff in the background.
Yeah.
It's classic hook laden harmony Beatles, but it just doesn't work as far as in comparison to the 10 I have above it. So it's number 11. I like it though. I'm not going to say I don't like it.
Yeah. For me, you just mentioned the song. For number 10, it's What Goes On, Ringo. I think it's the only Starkey, Lennon, McCartney credit.
It is.
So Ringo actually has a hand, his first time, at least on record, writing with the Beatles. Of course, I think we talked about in our White Album that Don't Pass Me By was one that he had written back in the earlier days of the Beatles. But I love it. Tell me why, what goes on.
I know, that's good.
He still does it live, and I think he always jokes, he's like, this is the only song that's credited to Starkey and Lennon and McCartney, and it's fun. It's probably out of all, probably if I was just to rank all the Ringo songs, this one might be toward the bottom of all of my Ringo songs that he did with the Beatles anyway. So
yeah,
it's a fun song. It's interesting, and actually for once it kind of, the country aspect of it kind of matches the tone of an album, whereas like with like Act Naturally, that was kind of it. And then the other country, kind of more country songs, so he does like he did Matchbox as a single, but yeah, it actually matches the album, so it works on Rubber Soul.
Yeah, Act Naturally could have been on this too in its place.
It could have. Yeah.
They're both sort of the same vibe.
Mm.
My number 10 is a Grammy Award winner, Michelle from Paul. Pleasant song about a love relationship, a little language barrier, some French phrases, which I'm not going to go into because I can't speak French. And I don't know, it's one that years ago I thought was a masterpiece, but it's waned through the years. I like it less and less, mostly because I like some of these deeper cuts on the album.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10.
Well, it's my number 9. Great opening guitar. It's one that I'm still trying to figure out how to play. Just that again, it's a great tune. Actually, for me, it was the opposite of what you were mentioning. For me, when I was younger, I didn't like the song at all, really. And over the years, it has picked up speed with me. As I've been listening to the Beatles more in depth, and it's got the French line. I think it was Paul talked about like back in the day, like when they were younger, like that was kind of like how they tried to impress the girls, was learning some French lines, and I think it was kind of going back to that. I think him and George back in the day used to do that while they were playing guitar as teenagers. But yeah, it's an okay song. I wouldn't say it's one of Paul's like y'all, if you don't know Paul McCartney, hear this song. It's never going to be that song to me. So it's my number 9.
My number 9 is from George, If I Needed Someone. I like the arrangement of this song and the music about a girl that's sort of waiting on the sidelines in a fallback position in case George's current relationship doesn't work out. If I needed someone, you would be the one that I'd be thinking of. Had you come some other day, then it might not have been like this. He's sort of given the parameters of where he's at, timing is everything in life. So, but you see how much I'm in love. He's already committed to another woman. But if I needed someone, carve your number on my wall and maybe you will get a call from me if I needed someone. I love the song. It's number 9, right in the middle of the pack. It's
kind of like the Beatles version of Help Me Rhonda.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I never thought about that till just now. Number 8 for me, you mentioned it earlier, it's the song The Word. It's a little too hippy dippy for me. It's an okay song. Actually, to me, it's almost, to me, it's a little bit ahead of its time.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
I mean, The Summer of Love wasn't until '67. This is '65. You said December is when it came out, so
Yeah.
they were kind of ahead of the game here talking about that. And you know, at this point, I mean, you already had the Kennedy assassination a couple of years prior, so that kind of anti-establishment moving was starting to really roll with, you know, the pot smokers and the Greenwich Village folks. And it's just it's just like you said, it's just kind of meh. And just the lyrics are just, you know, it's so fine, it's sunshine, it's the word love. And then it's almost like they fit too many lyrics in where John's like, in the beginning, yes, misunderstood. I don't like that line, in the beginning. I don't like that, but it's number 8. I'm actually surprised it's that. I probably should have put it a little bit further down the list.
Yeah, they were a little bit ahead of the time. You can see him actually with the flowers in the hair and the beads and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it almost could have been like a Davy Jones monkey song.
Yeah.
It very well could have been.
Yeah, a little turtleneck sweater, if you will. I mean,
turtleneck, yeah, like you said, the beads. And yeah.
My number 8 is one you had earlier, Wait. I like the Wait song. I really do. John and Paul singing together. And I like the beginning. It's been a long time. Now I'm coming back home. And then it's wait till I come back to your side. Yeah, I just
Forget the tears we cry. Yeah.
And then at the end, it's oh how I've been alone. It's just true. So
yeah, it's a true ending to it.
It's a cool song for me. Wait. And a deep cut. You don't hear it played on the radio, and no one ever talks about it, but I'm into it.
Not even really like on Beatles radio. They don't really.
No.
Like on XM radio, like even on Sirius, they play the same, you know, 50 Beatles songs, and that's not one of them.
Right.
Number 7 is You Won't See Me. Kind of like the weird beginning, like don't when I call you up your line. I love that line, your line's engaged. It's so British. I've had enough, so act your age. I love that. You know, like you said, the ooh la 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 in the background. And you can kind of almost hear his voice is getting dry. Like it's like he's done it so many times in the studio. You can kind of hear a dryness to his voice. But I've always loved that. You know, I refuse to even listen. I love that. Though the days are few. It's just a great song. Lyrically, they put the lyrics together to flow really well, and it's always been a top one on this album.
Very good. My number 7 is one you had again earlier, Girl, the John Lennon song, supposedly written with a so-called dream girl in mind. It turned out to be Yoko, you know, everything that he wants in a woman and this and that. I do like the heavy sigh after Girl, you know, deep breath, whatever it is. There's kind of a lushness to the song, the way they play in. And I think John's voice fits it beautifully. So I like the tone of the lyrics, and it's a good one for me, Girl.
Number 6. I love the intro to the song. It's I'm Looking Through You, the Paul song. I just love how high up at the down. This is one of those, and I've talked about it on other videos with people. You know, I really got into the Beatles' deep catalog through their Rock Band video game that came out in 2009 when they were doing all these remasterings. And this is one that I remember hearing it because it's one of the songs that you can play on it. They don't have the full catalog on that game, but I remember loving that intro, that acoustic guitar, and wanting to learn it. And I love that, you know, you're not the same. That you can hear the organ, and then at the end it fades out with that, and he's like, "Oh, I'm looking through you. You changed. Yeah. It's just it rocks. I mean, it does, even though it's got the acoustic feel to it. It does rock, especially with, and I'm not really big on organ either, but the organ really, you know, adds a lot to it with his voice kind of just punching those lines out. So it made the top 5.
Yeah, it's pretty
number
high
6.
Up.
I'm sorry, number 6.
Number 6, pretty high up for me. Number 6 for me is the other George song, Think for Yourself. I really like this song. It's got that snarling sounding, I guess it's a fuzz bass. I don't know. He's talking about somebody that he wants to have their own opinion and don't be swayed by others. It's got that psychedelic sound to it. Do what you want to do and go where you're going to. Think for yourself, because I won't be there with you. The future still looks good. and you've got time to rectify all the things that you should. So he's giving out some advice, and I just like to think for yourself. Oh, he's got that deeper voice, and it
Love for you.
and it ends. Boom.
Yeah. It's kind of almost a precursor to the Love You Too song. There's kind of some similar elements to that with the song from Revolver in the following album. So yeah, Indian music, that's another thing we didn't mention. At this point, Indian music is really starting to creep into their subconscious. So number 5 is the song, it's a George song, If I Needed Someone. I love the jangle sound to it, the down, 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 which I think I can't remember which song, but I think actually this is one of those songs where the Beatles were inspired by an outside group. They were inspired by the Byrds, I think, on this song. I think it was the Byrds version of the Bells of Remini, the Pete Seeger song. But it's got that open guitar sound. I love the harmony, the bass harmony. They're like, if I needed someone. That's kind of how they're singing the background harmony. Had to come another day. It might not have been like this. Girl, you see that I'm too much in love. I'm too much in love is a great line too.
Yeah.
And then when the other voices come in and you call you on your number, and I love the harmonies. I said that relentlessly about the Beatles. Their harmonies are fantastic. And again, another one of those songs that I learned from the Rock Band video game and loved it. And I'm always biased toward George because I mean his Beatles output wasn't a lot, but I always love to hear it and compare it to the other guys.
Right. My number 5 is the opener, Drive My Car. I think it opens the album really strong with that driving force, no pun intended. That signature double guitar, and it just jams in the beginning, and then the bass comes in, and sexual lyrics, innuendo in there, and the beep beep. Yeah, dude, I just like all that stuff. Sing along quality, baby, you can drive my. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. It's just well produced, arranged, performed, the whole 9 yards. Great song. I know some people think it's a little overplayed, but I'm not one of them. I'm going to go with Drive My Car at 5.
It's my number 4. And again, another killer opener to a Beatles album, and it's actually Paul playing the guitar on it, which is cool. Cool to hear. You know, you can once you know it's Paul, you can tell because he kind of has a sloppy approach to his playing. That down, and then that bass
love it.
It's a great opener. She said, I love the line, working for peanuts is all very fine, but I can show you a better time.
Classic.
I mean, what other song are you hearing the line working for peanuts? You know, that's such an old phrase that's not used in today's world, but yeah, it's a rocker. Like you said, beep 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 beep, yeah, and then down down beep 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 beep, yeah. It's that fade out, the down.
Yeah,
it's one of the Beatles rockers. Like if you were to put together a comp of like the heavier Beatles songs, this one would have to make the list to show that they were a rock band, not just a pop band.
Right. My number 4 is one of John's more Dylan-esque tunes here, Norwegian Wood. Mature lyrics, kind of an extramarital affair. The sitar shows up here. It's kind of mysterious and ambiguous in the lyrics. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and noticed there was a chair. She told me she worked in the morning and started to laugh. I told her I didn't and crawled off to sleep in the bath. I mean, it's just, I love that. And then at the end, when I awoke, this bird had flown. So I lit a fire. Isn't it good, Norwegian Wood? I just love everything about the song. Real strong. And the fact they call girls over there birds. And
birds, yeah.
We call them chicks. They call them birds.
Double meaning there, yeah.
But real great song.
Well, my number 3, again, 3, 2, 1. They're all number 1s to me. Probably looking over the whole career of the Beatles, even though this is number 3 on this list, I would probably say for me it is my favorite John Lennon song, and that's In My Life. definitely probably his most introspective. I'd say even more so than Strawberry Fields.
Yeah.
Just beautifully done. That guitar is so clean. That intro, that's almost as much a draw to the song as the lyrics are. I mean, when the instrument itself is a hook, I mean, I'm all in for that.
Yeah.
I love the drumming by Ringo. It's all over the place, different times. Some are better, some are better. I can't even think of the words, but
Some are dead and some are living, I think.
some are dead and some are living. There are
In my
places I
life.
remember.
Yeah.
Just it's so introspective. It's John showing his sentimental side, which he doesn't show that much because he was a closed individual. I mean, a lot of that was from the abuse he suffered growing up. But it's just a beautiful song. And then that last note, you know, with all the music stops and he hits, you know, in my life, and then how it ends, you know, down, 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 bloom, 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 bloom. I love that. It's just it's a perfect song, and but it's number 3. It's not number 1.
So that means 2 and 1 have to be perfect too. Anyway, my number 3 is one you had a little bit back. I'm Looking Through You. Love it. Bouncy, melodic, that acoustic opening riff, electric guitar in between verses too, which I like. Great vocal. Love has the nasty habit of disappointing overnight. Your lips are moving, I cannot hear. Your voice is soothing, but the words aren't clear. You don't sound different. I've learned the game. I'm looking through you. You're not the same. And then, you know, just a fantastic bouncing kind of jam. So it's way up on my list, number 3.
Yeah, it's a great song. It really is. Like I said, that organ really helps it out a lot.
Yeah.
Number 2 to me, one of the finest examples of the Beatles harmonization. It's Nowhere Man. I've always loved that song. I think this the lead vocals from John are just spectacular. Again, top-notch harmonies. I love how it ends, you know, where they say making all his nowhere plans for nobody.
Yeah.
And they repeat that again. And then at the end, they say making all his nowhere plans for nobody. Like Paul hitting that hop. I think that's fantastic. And then down, 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 it just ends right there. Doesn't have a point of view, knows not where he's going to. Isn't he a bit like you and me? It's a beautiful song. Again, it could be autobiographical. John might think of himself as a nowhere man and doesn't have anybody.
Right.
Again, we talked about earlier, you know, he's going through some things, whether it was, you know, an affair with his wife at the time, and
right,
you know, abuse, whatever it was, going back to his childhood. Regardless of what it was, this song to me is just top-notch harmonization for the Beatles, and it jumps between 1 and 2 all the time. But this week it's number 2.
I have it at number 2 also, and I feel like a broken record because I have everything that you said written on this card here, word for word. It has all the catchy hooks, harmonies, next level pop song. It's a perfect song in every sense. I have that written down, and I have the same lines. Doesn't have a point of view, knows not where he's going to. Isn't he a bit like you and me? And then the end, making all his plans for nobody. It sums it up. It's just an absolutely first-rate, top-of-the-line Beatles song.
Yeah.
If I was making a top 10 overall Beatles list, that song would be on it.
Yeah, it's killer. And again, it's not one that they play. You never hear it.
Yeah.
All right, number 1. You've probably guessed it by now. It's Norwegian Wood. One of the few times that I'll probably ever put a John song at number 1. I absolutely love the song. And again, as I mentioned, I mean, I've got my top 3 are all John Lennon songs. And again, this was his album to me, just like Sgt. Pepper was Paul's. Norwegian Wood is just beautiful. The acoustic guitar, I love to play it myself on guitar. The sitar is in it, but it adds, like, it's played in the song, but the song is not like it's not like a Within You Without You kind of song, or
it's
a
not
Love You
overwhelming,
song.
right? Yeah.
It's played as almost like an acoustic guitar, just on top of the melody with the acoustic guitar playing the same notes, really.
Yep.
played by George. He's just now learning the instrument. And I know there's always the speculation at the end where he says, "So I lit a fire." A lot of people think, the layperson might think, he went out and he was camping or something, but some people say that he is burning the house down because she left him and that he actually burned it to the ground. So it's kind of got some double meanings in there, like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Um,
Could be a
and this is-
metaphor for just what you're saying. Not necessarily literally burning it down, but figuratively, you know what I'm saying. Just ending it, saying the hell with it,
And I think it was pretty common that he was having an affair at this point.
Yes.
It's pretty straightforward. So I don't know how, Cynthia hung on for as long as she did after this. I mean, she went with him to India 3 years later. So I'm surprised she got through this song. But it's the best song on the album. I knew immediately that was gonna be the #1 song when I was making my list for this one. It's beautiful. It's definitely Dylan influenced with the, kind of storytelling, stream of consciousness kind of lyrics. And like you said, a lot of substances that the Beatles were taking at this point, but very laid back folk song. And I absolutely love it. It's #1.
Very good choice. My #1 is In My Life. Just another beautiful song that everyone can relate to, examining one's life, especially my age now, you're looking back and the line, some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all. It's just a beautiful, sentimental, reminiscent kind of way to look at life in general and the people in it. And just his words that he's choosing to write down. I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. And then it's followed by what sounds like a harpsichord. He has that, that I don't think it is a harpsichord, but it comes across as one anyway.
I think it is a harpsichord. I think
it's what it sounds like.
I think they were able to lug one in there, George Martin, because he's playing the solo. And I think if I remember reading this right, I think that was sped up. Like I don't think he could play it as fast as the song allowed it. So he played it slightly slower and they bumped it up just a little bit.
But it comes across, it's a nice little addition to the song.
Very different.
It is different.
It's definitely Baroque pop.
For sure. So, you could argue 1, 2, 3, they're all fantastic songs. I had a hard time keeping Nowhere Man out of there, but I went sentimental at this time around and went with In My Life. And I love your pick also of Norwegian Wood. You can't argue with that.
Yeah. And same for you. I mean, again, In My Life, at one point I said, when I was just talking that overall, it's probably the best John Lennon song, in my opinion, that the Beatles recorded anyway.
Yeah. All right, another fun one. Look forward to the next offering, which will be Revolver. That'll be a real blast to do, and they all are. It's a great journey we're taking here. And the thing about it, not only are we ranking these songs, but we've been listening to them too, and refreshing our memory about why we love them so much and what the important aspects of them are. And it's a great trip. I'm really having a good time. So everybody out there, please sub Sam St. John again. I'm telling you, this guy's fantastic. Pleasure doing these videos with him. Like I said before, he loves the Beatles, but that's not all. He also loves Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, which in my book are right up there among the best of all time.
And they're always nearby.
He's got it right there. He can't even be in the same room without a Heartbreaker.
He's always in my hip pocket. Yeah.
John Prine and Van Morrison and right down the list. He's going to see Gordon Lightfoot. So the man knows what he's talking about. And he also sings. He wrote a beautiful song for his alma mater the other day on the air. Fantastic. So I admire his talent, and thank you for coming on. Please leave your comments, your lists, and multitude of feedback. We love that kind of stuff, and we'll answer all your comments. So until next time, we'll see you around. Have a good day. Take care. Bye.
Cheers.